Alright, let's visit the gauntlet that has the tier 5 through 6 levels next. It's located to the far right of this maze, so directly to the right of me. At this junction, instead of climbing upwards, go to the right. That'll directly lead you to the tier 5 through 6 gauntlet. And I don't want to deal with the Gutsman recreation section. So this gauntlet is rather unique. It's not actually a gauntlet. This sub-area, instead of the other 4 ones being gauntlets, this is a mashup of many stages in tier 5 through 6. Oh sure, we start off with Joe Man's level, but as you may have noticed here, in the background we have whatever that stage is with water, Elec Dam, and you may have noticed that I have air sliding available. This is showcasing us the fact that we can do air slides anywhere. So already we have a splicing of Joe Man's stage, air sliding, as well as Elec Dam. It is unique in regards to the other gauntlets, but I kinda prefer the gauntlets for cohesion's sake. Oh sure, it's a nice little recreation of many of the stages from tiers 5 through 6, but it neglects to remix several of the other stages, like for example Dwang. And now we have shades from a Mega Man from all seasons, because originally when we started the stage, this was not iced over. It was in the summer and now we're in winter. These gravity switchers are from a maze of significantly less debt. And we have these freezing spouts from Nitrogen Man's stage. We also have some elements taken from Volcanic Furnace, but I'm not exactly sure where. Anyways, the boss of this sub-area is Chimerabot Coropolitan Woman, a combination of Quarantine Woman and Neapolitan Man. If you have gotten really used to Neapolitan Woman's stage, you'll have to break your muscle memory. Okay, for some reason, her patterns were a lot easier than in my test runs. And so this ends this sub-area. The rest of the sub-areas return to the traditional gauntlet format. The gauntlet for the tier 7 through 8 levels is located on the bottom left part of this map. And from the comments I've seen online, this level is rather polarizing. Because you have to go through a maze featuring recreations of levels from the traditional Mega Man titles combined with the gauntlets made from the contest entries, so it can take quite a while to get to your locations. So this room was created by Bede, whereas the previous one was made by Renhawk. He didn't do a bad job. I enjoyed it, but it breaks the cohesion and convention set by the other sub-areas. Here's City Under Siege. If you were to ask my honest opinion of the stage, this would be my third favorite Y-Star 2 stage of them all. Oh sure, it is rather long, but I just love all the recreations, the maze-like design of this level, as well as all the mini remixes of the stages. As well as all the mini remixes of the stages that feel authentic to the original levels, featuring the original graphics, several enemies, gimmicks, as well as several of the highlights as well. And now we transition over to, but it lacked the depth to convince me that this is really hell. That's a nice snazzy transition, and it makes this section a lot easier because we do not need to do a jump jump slide slide section. Spiky situation. Bouncy castle, though without the bouncy gimmick. Well, we still have the bouncy platforms though, so I guess they're a good enough substitute. And I do like that Bede actually included this mini remix of his own stage in this gauntlet, even though it was a disqualified level. Then again, it is Bede making this stage. Cursor curse. Trying to delete us. Oh gosh, this stage had so much missed potential. The other main complaint I've seen about this stage is that you won't recognize several of these gimmicks unless you went through all of the contest entries before, which may cause some problems with certain sections, but I don't mind it. After all, most of the gimmick usage here isn't that difficult. Even most of the enemies are pretty easily dispatched of, and none of them are so difficult to pose an unsurmountable challenge. And for the most part, I like the remixes done of the contest entry stages. The only ones where I have a bit of qualms on are with the tier 5 through 6 gauntlet, but that's more due to the fact that instead of it being a remix, it was a mashup. Instead of it being a gauntlet remix, it was a mashup remix. And of course, here's Isaac again. Sadly, I don't think he was able to escape from the cellar yet. And this was a remix of the original stage, Gunpowder Cellar. Up over here is a remix of my level, Conveyor Mayhem. And I gotta say, B28 did a pretty good job recreating my stage and getting the highlights done. Specifically for the third pathway, aka the pathway leading up to Crusher Joe. We have the shield caterpillars, the fire caterpillars, the fire camons, the moving ladders, the conveyor belts, the sideway presses, or sideway crushers as I called them. As well as a recreation of the second to last challenge on the third pathway, just before the last section leading up to the boss corridor leading up to Crusher Joe. Nice recreation of the smiley face there, Bede. Pretty nice touch. And that's my general consensus of this entire gauntlet. Great work, Bede. In fact, I'd say that his gauntlet is one of my favorite ones out of the 5 ones. The only one that competes with this one is the gauntlet for tiers 9 through 10. Easy way to restore full health. This is Bondman's level. Here's Ruined Lab, where we'll be facing the boss. Chimera Bot for Match Force, a combination of Matchstick Man as well as Force Man. Out of all 5 Chimera Bot encounters, I said that this one is the hardest one. After all, Force Man was one of the more difficult entry stage robot masters. At least he's more vulnerable in comparison to the original Matchstick Man fight, where he spent most of the fight invulnerable. Like when he was sliding towards me in the original fight, Matchstick Man was invulnerable. This will take another attempt. Getting the pattern down of those force beams is going to be the main problem. And that's the gauntlet for tiers 7 through 8 done. The final one for tiers 9 through 10 is located on the bottom right portion of this map. At this junction, instead of going to the right or going up, take the ladder downwards. Honestly, I feel that this stage would have been improved if it focused more on the gauntlet recreations of all the contest entry stages, as opposed to including all these recreations of classic Mega Man stages. That way this stage wouldn't take 1 hour to complete, it'd probably take around 30 minutes to complete. And separate out the last part of the stage into Y Stage 7. Y Stage 6 is long enough, we don't need an extra 20 minutes, we don't need an extra 10 or 20 minutes attached to it. That way players have more time to relax before fighting the final boss and watching the credits. So now we're in the tier 9 through 10 gauntlet. This is a recreation of Gutsman's asteroid. Mount Saber. Neapolitan Man. Cyberman. We can either do this section as Hornet Man or Jewel Man. This is a recreation of the stage Identity Crisis, and we even have the swapping over to other Roadmasters gimmick. In fact, it's combined with other stages as well because now we're in Sheriff Man's level. So it is a little bit of a mashup similar to Renhawk's sub-area, but not as much. This still maintains a gauntlet feel. I need to kill off that Colton first. Wasn't fast enough. I should have done a quick weapon reset. Still not fast enough. This is harder than it looks. I'm probably making it harder than it looks, actually. There we go. Now we're in Misty Lake. Sector Epsilon 6. Now we swap over to Brightman again, as himself. And I fail this challenge. Wonderful. Sector Upsilon 6, not Sector Epsilon 6. My bad. Radical Gravity. I do adore how elements of Identity Crisis, mainly playing as other Roadmasters, are mixed in throughout this gauntlet. Quarantine Woman. Now we have Huntman's Recreation. The stage nobody asked for. Launch and Shuttle Man. Well, okay then, but it'll be pretty obvious if you watch the results live stream, or play through the game to the end. Truffle Man. Beneath Sand and Rock. Now we have a reference to that pain room under Beneath Sand and Rock, a secret room, and instead we have a reference or graffiti to Coin Master Should Have Won, who, if you recall correctly, was the level creator of Snowman, the worst ranking stage in this entire contest. So now we're facing Chimera Bot number 5, Cyber Sheriff, a combination of Cyberman and Sheriff Man. I'd say he's the second hardest of the 5 Chimera bots to defeat. Just like the original boss fight against Sheriff Man, the floor starts moving when he's at half health. But that's the last of the 5 sub-areas done. There's only one last thing left to do.